Everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of The Turn. It is a Sunday afternoon, almost evening time here, but I wanted to keep a promise to myself, keep a promise to you guys, and continue to make these videos on a weekly basis. First episode we launched, I want to thank everybody so much. I got really positive reactions and comments. That's very encouraging. Thank you. Hopefully I can continue to add value in these videos and that it helps you guys in your day in any way possible. All right, so without further ado, episode 2 is going to focus on differentiation. How to differentiate yourself as a business owner, or any just type of professional out there doing your job. I've been leveraging these tactics throughout my entire career. For the past 20 years, I think it's relevant to always find ways to stand out, be different, be special, and really understanding how to communicate that and what those principles are. That's what we're going to talk about today. So with that being said, I want to start with like a really good analogy and get your mind in a different place so that you can possibly understand what we're talking about here. Okay, so forget whether you're working somewhere or whether you own a business. I want to forget whatever it is that you work or what business you own. Let's pretend that we all own a chocolate factory today. Okay, we're going to start and we're going to build a chocolate factory, and that's going to be our business. Now, what is it that you would want if you had a magic wand? Would you want to have a normal state-of-the-art chocolate factory, conveyor belts and all that kind of stuff? Or would you want Willy Wonka's chocolate factory? Right? I think if we all had the choice, we would want Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Right? You can't, of course, highly fictional to fantasy, but he follows all the principles of what it means to be different, okay, which is basically your vision, your infrastructure, your people, your processes. Those kinds of things, even your whole philosophy around how you deliver your services and why you do what you do. Those are all the things that make you different. If you look at that and the way he does it in the movie, I think it's great, right? If you look at his process, when you go into the chocolate factory, he's the only chocolate factory in the world that mixes his chocolate with waterfall, right? And he has that beautiful environment that does, and that's kind of the secret to his wonderful chocolate. He doesn't just have normal employees, he has Oompa Loompas. They sing and they dance and they do things, which is great. His infrastructure, I mean, remember when they opened the doors in the original movie? You kind of see this beautiful kind of wonderland, Again, highly fictitious, but I think it's just such a good example of what it means to be different, what it means to be special. And, the whole theme around the movie, the kids that got the golden ticket and those who got to see inside the factory, all of it was very special and very unique. So I like to apply, realize in real life how to be as much of like Willy Wonka as we possibly can. Okay, so with that being said, let's apply it to your business. I speak all over the world, and it doesn't matter where I go and what I ask, where I'm at, and I ask the same question. I always get the same response. I think people in professional services environments, I'm in the IT industry, but I'm thinking any B2B professional services. You can be an accountant, a lawyer, what have you. But I asked these IT guys, I said, hey, how many of you believe that you have the highest quality service? You could put your service delivery up against anyone here in this room. And they all raise their hand. And I say, that's fantastic. But nobody knows how good you are at what you do until they sign. And you're almost got to make, if your service delivery is that special, how special is the customer experience process up until they sign? What is the experience like when they first come across your brand or first come across you and they first talk to you? What does that whole experience feel like? Does it feel different? Does it feel special? Does it feel exclusive? Does it make them want to engage? And that really right there is what you have to think about when it comes to your business and creating the magic, right? Because we talked about those 5 principles before, but I kind of want to show you them in action because, we take these kinds of things for granted all the time. So when your customers are coming across you, let's just say they're being introduced to your brand for the first time by visiting your website, okay? And your website has stock photography of just people in a random office or whatever it is that you have. And right away, you're already hiding a couple key things about your business, right? Which is, again, your people. And I'm going to continue referencing IT because I know, because I understand it, but apply it to anything else. I always tell people in IT, your computers and technology don't reach out to support your customers. Your people do. And your people are your biggest asset for any business. You guys know that payroll is the highest expense. So we're hiding them, right? We're hiding them with the stock photography. We're hiding who it is that they're working with, and they don't get that relatable, authentic feel. In the technology space, but I've seen this in many other businesses, your office, some of you have built monitors in the whole entire NOC, operations center, with all these, monitors and technology to be able to monitor these customers' infrastructures and their IT environments better than they ever could. There's millions invested into that. Not to mention the process you've created on how you look at those incidents and how you escalate those and the timing and which engineers handle what, how you continue to do proactive updates. All of that stuff is part of your processes and your infrastructure. And like I mentioned, just right there in your website, we're missing opportunities to highlight those things. And then overall, I think when you don't think of just your website or just the pictures that you have, I think how you communicate your value and your differentiators, that is more of an important thing, because what I believe marketing is simply is just communication. Okay, and exact definition, rich media communication, right? Using images, videos, text, graphics to help communicate a message more clearly and more effectively. That's what rich media is there to help for. But it's just communication. So, you have an ability to communicate with your existing staff, your existing customers. All these kinds of things are communication. They all enhance the customer experience. Now, going into the differentiation phase, some of you will struggle and try to figure out, what makes me different. I feel like my service is a commodity. I feel like my service, everybody knows what an accountant is. Everybody knows what an IT company is. How do I make myself different? And, like what I mentioned before, if you understand how to communicate your key differentiators, your vision, get yourself behind your desk, get a good webcam, communicate to your customers and to your audience why it is that you do what you do and what drives you and what's the impact you're trying to make, okay? When you record it like this and you send it out, it'll never get tired of being perfect. It's always going to have the great tone, same tone, no matter when someone watches it 24 hours a day. Some of you are regurgitating this every time you meet with somebody. Sometimes you have your staff that is going out trying to communicate the company's vision, and that quality will dip depending on how they feel that day, how much they know about your business, or just the passion behind the vision itself, okay? But more importantly, even your processes. I think that one of the biggest things that people don't understand in a professional services environment is that the processes that you've created is where all your magic is. It's not the services you offer. And again, I'm talking about any field, any firm, okay? If you're a CPA offering tax advice and accounting services or bookkeeping services, everybody does that. If you're in IT and you're offering monitoring, managed services, backup, cloud, everybody does that, okay? What truly makes you different is how you do it. The processes you created is where all your unique vision, your ingenuity, your philosophies all live in it. And I think that if you, and I know, I've done a lot of this marketing, if you were able to take those processes, those internal documents, put some lipstick on them and turn them into external facing documents and send it out to your customers and your prospects and show them how it is that you do what you do, what the process is like, there's a lot of confidence behind that. There's a lot of uniqueness around that. And for those of you that are afraid of sharing some of your secrets and having somebody copy that, I would promise you it's worse to not share what makes you unique And if you're good at creating processes and you're constantly innovating, you're always going to stay ahead of your competitors by putting that kind of stuff out first. Okay? Like I mentioned, getting your people involved, getting good pictures of your culture and your environment. If you don't have an office and you're smaller, you can do videos with your cell phone around the local areas. There's a lot of ways to focus on being different. And I really think that that's going to be, everybody wants to feel and work with someone where it feels special and it feels different and they can tell. Okay? Now I'm going to kind of double up on this with, I talked a lot about business owner things, but wherever you're at in your career as an employee, you always have the opportunity to be different. You really do. One of the things I can tell you, I'm going to speak on behalf of a salesperson, okay? Because that's where I started my career. I was a normal business development manager when I first got into IT, okay? Now, I have my own passions as a comic book artist. That's the career I had. That's all the things that I wanted to do. And I understood the process. There was high volume of dials, and this is the things that I had to do. And I'm a team player, and I do want to follow process. But if the process doesn't ever get improved, that means we're not innovating. So while I do follow process, I always look for ways to enhance it, even as the lowest end employee within the organization. And I think these are the things that led me to become the VP of sales and marketing for that company and helped me advance no matter where I worked, from a small business all the way to when I was working with Intel, into my own business. So as an example, as salespeople, we never get credit for being creative. We're oftentimes handed a list of leads, whether that, back in my day, it was an Excel sheet, whether you're handed business cards, whatever it is, you're just handed leads, you're like, turn this into money. And then we're left to our own devices to figure out what it is that we do to turn that into money. And all of our individual creativity comes out there, right? Every email we send out to them, every outreach, our priority, the way we dice up our lists. Some of you are stronger in different vertical markets, so you'll go after the healthcare people first. Some of you are better talking to different people, different job titles. Depending on what your strengths are, that entire approach is very, very creative. And that is your secret sauce. And I always try to tell you, always look at your individual quirks, your individual things that make you different, and apply them into what you work and stand out. So let me give you an example. When I was starting and I was making all these calls, I had the script, I had the things, I had the process, but I'm like, there's got to be something better here. There's got to be a better way to communicate this, confusing technology stuff more uniquely. So at the start of my career, I would interview the CIO of the company. And I was like, hey, can you explain? I was fascinated. Can you just explain to me virtualization? I want to understand how that works. And I'll never forget, he was up on the whiteboard as Eric Simpson. He was just drawing, imagine a computer that has all these resources and little pie chart. We're going to divide the resources to act like multiple servers, right? One giant server with a bunch of resources, we're going to split it up to act like multiple servers. And we turn those little servers into VMs that work on the hypervisor. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to bore you guys with all the tech stuff, but he explained it to me, and I took a piece of 8.5 by 11 printer paper, and I was drawing my own little infographic and using my highlighters, and I would scan that in and send it out to my customers before I was calling them, or like part of my process. And I didn't even know at the time that I was doing marketing. I just was trying to be different and trying to relay something more simply, and I got a lot of business from that. I got a lot of opportunities, and everywhere you see me from that low in my career, of course, growing and speaking and doing other things, to the way I do things now, I really, really value differentiation and taking a unique approach and taking risks, especially in the field that we're in. It's almost our core responsibility to be an innovator, right? Because we're working with technology and trying to leverage all these different things and create something that just feels special. Okay? So, I know this is early on in the series, but I think that differentiation is really big if you guys really want to go ahead and grow, stand out, and be something special. Some of you that want to have a lifestyle business and are okay following processes and best practices already set before you, you could have a comfortable business and actually be quite successful. But if you really want to stand out, you got to go ahead and figure out what you can do to be different. And these are some tips that can help. I can go a lot deeper in this topic. I'm already going long. So if you want to learn more about how to be different in particular and some